Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here for a first look at the NFL Week 3 main slate on Draftkings. But before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos as well as live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast. Link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I'll offer that on Patreon.com. Also, link down below. NFL package includes all the show and slates as well as the main slate. And I do want to thank today's sponsor, Prize Picks. So if you guys are not familiar with Prize Picks, two different ways you can play for NFL. The first way is the original, where you just take over, under, and straight up fantasy points. So right now, if we're looking at this phenomenal Thursday night football game between the Houston Texans and Davis Mills versus the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold. There are 10 players posted. So again, you can either take the over or the under. For example, like McCaffrey is projected for 24 fantasy points. Again, you either take the over or the under, depending on how you feel, or you can go over a single stat. They have passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions. Sometimes they'll post a few more here as well. So, yeah, if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up using the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below. You get 100% match up to $100. So the reason I like Prize Picks is a nice change of pace, right? You're not playing against another, you're just playing against the house. And you can mix and match sports as well. So they have esports. Every single sport you think of, they have. Again, if you guys want to try it out, make sure to use that code to get that 100% match up to $100. All right, let's jump into the video, guys. Before we get into players and their prices for the Week 3 main slate, let's look back my lineup here from the Week 2 main slate. So I actually, for the first time in a long time, made two lineups. So this is both in GPPs. Obviously, I really don't play cash games anymore. So this is my, more contrarian lineup, which hit pretty nicely in GPPs. So I went with a Arizona stack, a cheap stack, and bring it back with KJ Osborne, someone I was really high on. Talked about him a lot in the YouTube live stream before lock on Sunday morning. But I just got completely different here. Like, I still had a couple chalky plays and guys like Najee Harris and Noah Fant, but I thought those spend down receivers would make my lineup unique, because obviously there's so many good plays in that 6K range. So I went with Osborne, AJ Green, Cedric Wilson, and then I ended up spending up at running back. Kamara was a letdown, but McCaffrey was really, really good. So that was my way more contrarian lineup, and then I built a more chalky lineup, which obviously didn't really hit because the Dallas stack was a huge letdown. The game in general was just so annoying to watch. So many touchdowns called back, bad calls. Like, who was it? Herbert, like, backing up and throwing the ball, and they called it like a sack. It was heinous. The two touchdowns Dallas scored were both rushing touchdowns. So that was one where if you did do a Dallas stack, obviously it was a little bit unlucky. It was popular. So like, I played a lot of chalk in this one. Obviously Najee Harris, Keenan Allen chalk, CD Lamb, Noah Fant. But you don't have, if you're playing like high stakes tournaments, you can still play a lot of chalk and get different, maybe one or two spots. So that's basically what I did, right? I played a low on Kamara, obviously he was let down, and I played a low on Pitts. Kind of did a double tight end pairing, which not a lot of people like doing. So that was my thought process through it. Of I was going to play a pretty chalky lineup, because I obviously like that stack, and get different in a couple ways with a guy like Pitts and a guy like Kamara. But all in all, just a solid week, break-even week for GPPs, pretty decent. And going over the winning lineup, this is in the big Millie Makers. This is $4,444 entry, I believe. This is the winning lineup. So Herbert with Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, who was super low on it. He's going to break the slate one or two times a year. No one played him last week, broke the slate. He used KJ Osborne, Cooper Kupp, who was actually in my core but didn't fit in either my build, just because this is the way roster construction worked. But yeah, he was someone I was really, really high on this week. Van Jefferson, who only had 2 fancy points, Jared Cook, Calvin Ridley, and the Browns defense. But yeah, just in general, guys, I recommend doing this. You can go to Draftkings and view live contests and check out all like the super high stakes. So like, I always like going and studying like players' lineups I really respect. So I always go and look at like Osimo's one guy. I look through and check out his lineups. I told you guys I always look at Big T as well. Just go in and see what players you respect are playing. It's always fun to see what they're thinking. Justin as well from DFI, I really respect him. But yeah, that's it for the look back, guys. So hope you guys had a good week 2, and let's see if we can keep it rolling for this week. So looking at some of the Vegas odds, again, we'll talk about the Thursday night. Probably the Thursday night video up tomorrow, being Tuesday. There are still a few games that are projected to be pretty high scoring. So the Arizona-Jacksonville game is over 50. That's a 52. Chargers Chiefs, this one should be a shootout, 55.5 over under. Seahawks Vikings, two bad defenses going up against each other, 55 over under. You have Bucks Rams, 54.5 over under. A little bit surprised though it was that high, but I get it. Both offenses are really, really solid. All right, so we'll start off with a quarterback. And, last year and now into this year, most weeks, if not all weeks, I'm spending up for quarterback, right? Because it's just like the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks have way more upside than anyone else. Like, if you played NFL DFS 4 or 5 years ago, you were always looking to spend down a quarterback, right? Now it's kind of different. Now, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, I'm looking to spend up. So, you guys know my love for Kyler Murray. Don't think we had to spend a ton of time here. The only downside I'll say about Kyler is they're playing the Jags, so this game could be out of hand in the second half. It's possible, but Arizona just loves airing it out, spreading it out. Fantastic matchup, rushing upside. Again, the only thing I said to spend a ton of time on him. Same with Mahomes, right? Great matchup, high over under. It's Patrick Mahomes, and you have Lamar Jackson with the rushing upside. So really, the top three quarterbacks all look really, really good. And again, most of the time, I'm looking to spend up now at quarterback. Russell Wilson always makes for a good tournament play just because the target share is condensed. We'll talk about it. Lockett versus DK Metcalf, that's always a coin flip. It's been Lockett the first couple weeks. Does that mean it's going to be Lockett again, or is it going to go to Metcalf? Basically, flip a coin in that one. Let's see. Other quarterbacks. So there are a few quarterbacks I think are solid in the mid-range. Don't mind Brady. He's been phenomenal. First couple weeks, 30-plus fantasy points week 1 and week 2. Justin Herbert's a guy I feel pretty solid about. So he's actually gone for over 300 yards in each of the first couple games. He's got unlucky, though, with touchdown variance. Only 1 touchdown in the first couple games, 2 touchdowns total. So this is a game they're most likely to be playing from behind. He's 6'5", probably going to have to air it out. I think Herbert's a decent play in the mid-range. Also, Stafford, again, the matchup, it's worse on the running side of the ball, I guess. So, passing defense for Tampa Bay that they're really struggling on. They're better against the run. But, this Los Angeles Rams team is another pass-first team. So I think those two make for pretty solid plays kind of in the mid-range. And there's one guy I'll mention, or I guess 2 guys I'll mention at cheap. So I did bring up Matt Ryan as a viable GBP play because he has such a wide range of outcomes, right? He's either going to completely bust for you or he's going to go for like 25-plus fantasy points. Went for 22 fantasy points. Again, this Atlanta Falcons team has been playing from behind almost every single week. And then you have Daniel Jones, who actually has been pretty solid, 22, 29 fantasy points. Does have some rushing upside. Now, do I expect 95 yards again from Daniel Jones? No, but this is a game where you have 2 bad defenses going up against each other. Neither offense is like amazing, but I think Daniel Jones is fine as a punt play at the QB position. And then one other guy I'll mention here, where is he, is keep an eye on Andy Dalton's status. So Andy Dalton currently questionable, has a bone bruise. We'll see. If he can't go, then Fields could be a viable value play. Obviously, Justin Fields is a guy that has some rushing upside, so that's just a situational monitor. We'll talk about that more in the final look video. Moving on to running back. So Derrick Henry, again, like I said, going to break the slate 1 or 2 times a year. He broke it last week. My issue here is I think the ownership is going to be inflated. Matchup, decent. Do I trust this work in the passing game? I don't. 4 and 6 targets first couple weeks. I don't trust that. So the downside here at Derrick Henry is that ownership is going to jump way up, right? And he still has a somewhat low floor because, again, I don't really trust these targets. I'm going to need to see that happen more consistently for me to feel better about that. But then it comes down to Derrick Henry being a little bit more touchdown dependent, where he needs one of those games where he has like a massive game on the ground and a few scores like last week. So that's the issue with Derrick Henry. We'll see what ownership comes up in him later in the week. My guess is it's definitely going to jump from that like 5% he was in GPPs. Now, Dalvin Cook, keep an eye on this because he did get a little bit banged up. He left the game, I feel like a couple times, went to the sideline a little bit banged up, but he did finish the game, went for 22 carries, 131 yards. He is involved in the pass game, and this is a good matchup. So just monitor this. If Dalvin Cook's full go, I think he makes for a really solid play at that price. Kamara, I played him the first couple weeks. The Saints offense, do I trust it? Not necessarily. This is not the best matchup here against the Patriots. Now, Austin Eckler, I told you guys that 0 target game was an outlier. And sure enough, he comes out and goes 9 catches on 9 targets, right? We know that's part of Austin Eckler's game. It really raises his floor, his ability to catch a lot of passes. And this is a game the Chargers are most likely going to be playing behind. You could see a lot of dump-offs here to Eckler. I think he's one of the better plays in the mid-range for sure. Let's see, don't mind Najee Harris again. The Steelers in general haven't looked amazing, but he's still just the bell cow, right? He's like never going to leave the field. He's involved in the passing game. Another solid player in the mid-range. Now, Saquon, the snaps would go up on Saquon. So he had 13 carries, 57 yards. Not a crazy stat line, a couple catches. But the price has come down to a point where I'm definitely considering Saquon this week. Again, snaps went up by a lot last week. So that 6.5 price point looks pretty good for him. Chris Carson got a little bit bailed out because of the 2 touchdowns, but he's still a guy that's going to be out there majority of the time for the Seahawks. A little bit involved in the passing game, not much, but decent price point there and a good matchup. Plus, good matchup. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. Let's see what else at running back. So keep an eye on Josh Jacobs' status. He is day to day. If Josh Jacobs can't go, maybe a guy like Kenyan Drake becomes viable. He didn't do much on the ground, but he's more involved in the passing game. Let's see. Henderson, monitor that situation. If he's out, then Sonny Michel could be a viable value play. Cheaper guys for running back, there's not a ton I love. Again, I told you guys to monitor. There's 2 pieces of injury news. I just don't really want to deal with a Tampa Bay 3-headed monster. So, Edwards-Helaire. This is the one guy I want to talk about. So, 4.8K. I know he's not been good the first couple weeks, but this is a great opportunity to buy low, right? He was 6.6K week 1. So I think if you're spending down for running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is your guy. He's still playing majority of the snaps, so it's not like the snaps are just going down on him. I just think he's had a little bit of bad luck. He did obviously have that 1 fumble. Like running the ball, not amazing, but I expect him to get a little more involved in the pass game here too. So CEH, 4.8K. I think it's a nice buy low. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. So the guys at the top, TYREEK Hill had a bad week last week. That's because the defense was just trying to shut him down. Obviously, we know the big play upside is there. He's always a good tournament play. Hopkins had a pedestrian week 2, but this is, again, phenomenal matchup. Expect him to get more than 4 targets. As I said, DK Metcalf versus Tyler Lockett. Just flip a coin. Just flip a coin. Calvin Ridley at 7K. I like this price point a decent amount. 8 targets, 10 targets. Atlanta, like I said, has been playing from behind most weeks. I think that is too cheap for a guy of Calvin Ridley's talent level. And Cooper Kupp has been phenomenal. Going to get a ton of targets. As I said, Tampa Bay hasn't been great through the air. They've been a lot more stout on the running game. So Cooper Kupp, once again, I really like in the mid-range. Keenan Allen, like this price point doesn't make a ton of sense. He's going to get close to double-digit targets every single week. They're going to be playing from behind. So once again, this range, kind of mid-range wide receiver, looks really, really solid. Both Titans receivers are going to look pretty good. I know A.J. Brown's been a letdown first couple weeks, but expect him to have a bounce-back week here soon. Let's see, Sterling Shepard, another guy like in the mid-range. He's been the Giants' top target, right? 9 targets, 10 targets, playing out of the slot. Daniel Jones like getting the ball out of his hand quick. I think that's a pretty safe play at that price point. Let's see, scrolling down a little bit more. So now we're getting to some of the cheaper plays at wide receiver. Rondale Moore had a massive week 2, 7 catches, 8 targets, 114 yards. The snaps also went way up. Played almost 60% of the snaps. So this is just a guy that has that big play upside. They want to give him the ball. Would like the snaps to go up a little bit more, but even so, I think he's still viable for GPPs. The Jags wide receivers, like Marvin Jones Jr., 9, 11 targets. They're going to be playing behind almost every single week. Their defense is awful. Arizona most likely going to put up a ton of points in this game, so the Jags are probably going to have to air it out. And Marvin Jones has been their most consistent receiver, so I think he's another pretty safe play. Now we're getting to cheaper plays. So like I rolled the dice on AJ Green, ended up working out. Price did hop up, but he should be out the majority of snaps. Fine value play. Darnell Mooney is another guy who's going to be out there basically the entire game. 7 catches, 7 targets, 8 targets. I think he makes for a pretty safe play. Emmanuel Sanders had a letdown week 2, but still 8 targets, 6 targets. They were just playing from a massive lead, but still Buffalo's going to air the ball out a ton. I think once again he's somebody you can look to for value. McCole Hardman played a majority of snaps, 8 targets last week. I think he's a fine value play. Does have some big play upside. Braxton Berrios, keep an eye on the status of Jamison Crowder. If Crowder's out again, Berrios does become a viable value play. Playing out of the slot has had a good first couple weeks. And then KJ Osborne again. Told you guys I was really high on him last week. 9 targets, 6 targets. And it's not like he's just getting lucky and like playing like half the game, is having really good games. He's playing a majority of the game. The Vikings are now running 3 wide receiver sets almost the entire game, right? They no longer have Rudolph and Irv Smith where they're running 2 tight ends a lot and just 2 wide receivers. This is now a 3 wide receiver team. And KJ Osborne has shown he's a good wide receiver. 7 catches and 9 targets, 5 catches and 6 targets. This is one of the highest over-unders of the day, of the week. Once again, I'm pretty high on a guy like KJ Osborne. And then where is CEPHUS for the Lions? So if you watch that game tonight, again, we'll go over my lineup. Had a really solid showdown, Monday Night Showdown. So again, we'll go over that in my video tomorrow. But CEPHUS was their go-to wide receiver, right? He played, like, I didn't really see him leave the field. He played, I think, almost 100% of the snaps. He's talented too. You guys see that he did have a touchdown. He almost had 2. That one-handed catch he almost had. So QUINTEZ CEPHUS, Lions are another awful team. They're playing from behind a ton, but he's cheap. And I think he's, right now, their #1 wide receiver. So a little bit interested in him too. And then finally, tight end. Can't go wrong with Travis KELCE. Every single week, he's going to be one of the top plays. If you have the salary for him, he's going to have close to double-digit targets, a ton of red zone looks. Really, really do like KELCE at the top. Gronkowski's one guy that I'm not full, like, I don't think he's an average 2 touchdowns every single week. The prices come up. This would be one I would probably sell high on in fantasy. I'm not convinced Rob Gronkowski is turning back the clock and now the Gronk of old. Hawkinson, man, Detroit's going to be playing fine almost every single game. He's going to get a ton of targets, look good again tonight. I think that's a solid option. And then I got to bring up Kyle Pitts. So 8 targets, 6 targets. He's playing a ton out of the slot, like a ton. And this is a game where you have 2 bad defenses going up against each other. Once again, I am very high on a guy like Kyle Pitts. Noah Fant, I think, is solid. Again, no Jared Jeudy for a while. 8, 6 targets. I think that's decent. And then Tyler HIGBEE was kind of a chalk bust last week. Doesn't do much for me, right? Sure, he busted last week. He still played, I think, 100% of the snaps again. So this is a game projected to be pretty high scoring. He should be out there the entire time. So, yeah, I think HIGBEE, once again, is a pretty decent value play. As far as punt tight end goes, not a ton I love. I mean, sure, Rudolph if there's no Evan Ingram, but like another situation where tight end, like I feel like back in the day, always looking to punt it. Last couple of years, been looking to spend up more at tight end, spend up more at running back. I don't know. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that. It just seems my roster construction, a lot more spending up at quarterback and spending up for elite tight ends. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos. And you know when to go live. And keep an eye out for the Thursday Night Football show on Slate. That video will be up tomorrow. But good luck, guys, and I will see you all in the next